So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you are watching this. Thank you again for joining me on another episode of Sis, It's Just Not God's Best for You, Self Actualize and Shine podcast show. And I told y'all, I was going to come with that heat this season. And I have our special guest, Miss Anita Stoudmire, who is the author of this book right here, Choose Well, a simple formula to determine the best man for you. And guys, I just want to tell you a little bit more about Miss Anita. So she is a professional therapist. So look, I had to come with the heat. Like she knows what she is talking about. And also a love mentor who founded the Better Love Movement. So today I wanted to talk to her about how we as women can win being feminine, being our receiver role, and also how to allow men to be men. Because I know like sometimes we just can be in our masculine a little bit, but we're gonna work on that. So this is why I decided to have Miss Anita Stoudmire as our special guest on this episode of Sis, It's Just Not God's Best for You. So thank you again, Miss Anita, for joining me. I just love your content.
Thank you so
on
much for having me. I appreciate it. Yep. Thank
oh,
you.
you're welcome. Like you are like that good auntie that gives me that like
That's
reassurance that
it.
I need. Like, girl, get your mind right. What are you doing? Like, you deserve more. So I really like was excited to have you. So thanks
Good.
for
And I
joining me.
appreciate it. And I will take that. I tell a lot of younger women that yes, I don't mind being that seasoned auntie or, that mama figure, whatever it is, or sister, whatever it is. I don't mind because I tell a lot of women this is not just theory we're talking. This is my life experience. So
Even better. So, about your life
yeah.
experience, is that how you
Mhm.
got to write the book? I wanted to talk about it. So, what was your inspiration behind writing this book, if you don't mind sharing?
I just needed to write a book to my younger self. So the 23, 24-year-old me, 25-year-old me, it's the book I wish I had. And I wanted to catch women, a little bit younger, but you know what? If you're not in your 20s, even if you're in your 30s or your 40s, I have some girlfriends in their 50s that they read this book and they had aha moments like, wow, okay, I get it now. But it was the book that I really wanted and needed when I was in my 20s on how to choose a really good guy.
I love that. And I felt the same way. I first downloaded your book on Kindle because I really couldn't wait to get my hands on it. But once I started
Mhm.
reading, I said, oh no, Cinquetta, you need to buy this book so you can highlight
Right,
like just the stuff
right.
that was on the first page. I was like, oh no, you
Mhm,
need to
mhm.
like use this as a reference guide. So I really, really like it. And I can see how it could definitely like apply to women across all ages. It's
Yep,
we always
yep,
need that reminder
yep.
of who
That's
we
it.
are. And I really feel like you captured that in the book.
Mhm.
So, as a founder and creator of Better Love Movement, what is the number one mindset that women should possess to receive better love in life and also in relationships?
So the one thing I'm constantly talking to women about is helping them to focus on themselves. They've got to focus on what they want and what they need. And too many women are instead focusing on others, what other people want, what the man wants, what he needs. And I'm saying, no, I need you to focus on yourself and what you want and what you need. That's your greatest chance of getting it.
Okay. Why do you feel that is? Why do I feel like me myself too? Like I feel like I'm a people pleaser. So why do you think
Mhm.
that we all want? Well, some women want to be
Right,
that way, like worry about other people and their needs instead of focusing on their own.
right. So the clinical side of me, I am a recovered codependent. So it's been about 24 years now that I have been in recovery for codependency. And I estimate that about 80% of women suffer from codependency. Like it's all but hardwired in us from when we were children. And we were taught, that we're to, care about others and, you have to be selfless and just it was kind of hardwired into a lot of women that were nurturers. I hear a lot of women say that, well, I'm just a nurturer. And I'm like, so that's where it comes from for a lot of us, whether it be our faith, whether it be our family, we're kind of hardwired to be codependent.
Mhm.
And once we learn that it's okay to be not selfish, but self interested, that's what I teach women, that it's not about being selfless and it's not about being selfish. It's about being self interested. That says that I am going to consider myself and then I'm going to consider others. See, so everybody, I'm going to consider everybody. I'm just going to start with me first, and then I will consider other people. So that's what I've been teaching women, that it's okay to be self interested because you matter too.
Wow, there we go. You matter, ladies. I feel like that could be on a shirt. You
That's right.
matter.
That's it.
Because you're right. Sometimes we are taught like nice girls, like be
Right.
nice, play
Right.
nice, think about others, share. And then you
Mhm.
wind up neglecting yourself. And then guess what? You're also mad at yourself for doing so. You're just like,
Mhm.
because you have nothing to give back to you.
That's right. That's right.
So I'm glad you mentioned be self-interested. I really like that.
Yep.
So, I'm also an author too. And I feel like,
Mhm.
when you're writing your book, there's a lot of research that has to go into writing your book. So I was just going
Mhm.
to ask you, like, what were some surprising things that you learned while getting research or even like having your Instagram page, Better Love Movement, that you realized, like, wow, I didn't know that it was this bad for women, or whoa,
Mhm.
like, was there anything surprising that you learned as you were writing your book?
The most important thing for me is just learning how to not lead with your heart. Like
Mm,
that's something that I try to train women on, that we're not leading with our heart. We're going to lead with our mind. We're going to lead with the skill to vet and qualify a man first. So we're
mm,
going to be warm and sweet and inviting, but we're also going to use this. We're not going to jump in with our heart. We're going to wait until we see if this person is worthy of our heart. And that's something that, I know I did. I walked around with my heart on my sleeve. I led with my heart. Um, One of the things I tell people all the time that they hate me when I say, but it's love is not enough. But back in the day, I really believed that. Oh, if we love each other, that's all we need. All we need is love. And now I
mhm.
realize, nope, you need more than love. So we
Very
got to
true.
use this first before we let this out to play. We got to use our mind to really vet a man. Like, does this make sense? Is what he's telling me makes sense? Do things line up? Are we compatible? And then once you figure that out, then you can open your heart. You can say, wow, this is a good fit. And then
Mhm.
you're going to let your heart out to play.
I agree because I was the same way too. And
Mhm.
then you have to wind up reeling it back like you're all
Right,
in. And then when it's time
right,
to vet them, you don't even really want to speak up because you're like living in a fantasy. Like, I don't want to
right.
wake up from this. If I
Yep.
ask them, when's the last time you went to church? I might not like the answer, but I still like him. So
Mhm.
I definitely get it. And I learned how that's beneficial to like vet a person first before letting
Right.
them get into your heart. But
That's it.
yeah.
That's it.
Once your heart breaks a few times, you wisen up. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
I'm
it.
asking
That's
questions.
it.
So, again, I love this cover, guys. I don't know. Let me get in there.
Mhm.
So, I'm
Yep.
just going to ask you, what was your inspiration behind this cover? Like, what was the thought process of this vending machine analogy for the book?
Right, right. So I have worked with this artist before, and she's actually doing the cover for the next book. So my next book is due out hopefully the middle of November. I'm shooting for right before Thanksgiving. And
Okay.
she did both covers. And I was telling her, it's kind of like I wish we could just go up to a vending machine and see everything about each man and make our selection. And she was like, "Wow, I love that concept. Let me play around with that." And so she came back with this, and I was like, "Yes." And then we tweaked some things, but yeah, that's the idea I kind of came up with. Wouldn't it be great if we knew everything like in a vending machine, and then we could just pick a man based on what we're seeing? So
I like that. Off the top of your head, real quick with that analogy, what are some things we should be picking on them, like just off the board, like maybe like the top two or three things, like in your opinion?
So kindness and empathy, that
Mm,
will win every time. A man
mhm,
who is kind and empathetic, right? We want him to be able to put himself in our shoes. We want him to treat us kindly. So we don't want a Mr. Nice Guy. And I tell women this all the time. And some of the men that come on my platform, they say, well, nice guys, come in last and, nice guys get stepped on. I said, well, we don't want a nice guy.
mhm.
We want a man who is kind. We want a man who is competent. We want a man who is confident, and he has a purpose and a plan for himself, but he's not taking no mess, even from us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want a man that if we're acting up, he's like, that doesn't work for me. Like,
Okay.
we want him to have backbone. And sometimes Mr. Nice Guys don't. So if I'm able to run all over you, that means everybody else will too.
Mm-hmm.
So no.
And I like that because
Yeah.
it's also messing with the protector thing that we want in a
Right.
man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we're out on the streets and someone disrespects me, I'm going to want you to speak out for me. You know, I'm not
Right.
about to go to blows with him. So,
Right. That's
can you handle this?
Yep.
So,
So kindness and empathy. Um, I released a bonus chapter to the book that you can get through a download, and it's all about character, the importance of vetting a man's character. That character is king. Like, I put that above everything. He has to have good moral character, because think about it. If this is going to be your husband, if this is going to be the father of your children, like, trust, you always tell people, trust is the foundation of the relationship. And if your character's poor and I can't trust you, we have nothing.
I love that. And I also like with your list, it had nothing to do with money. Because a lot of guys sometimes will say, y'all only want 6-figure men. Y'all want, like, wait a minute now.
Yep.
It's nice,
Yep.
but at the same time, like, yeah, we want other things too. Other things would trump because I feel like a man, as you described like that, getting money for him wouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you have good character, when you're kind, you're able to speak up, like, that will already be maybe like a secondary thing that will come in. The money will come to a person like that. So
Right.
I'm
And I
glad you
tell
mentioned that.
right. Choose generous over rich or wealthy. A man
Mm.
who's generous, because I've dated some 7-figure men who were very stingy. So that how much money he makes, it means nothing, because it's his money. If I don't have access to his money, who cares?
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was
Mm-hmm.
good. And I just have a follow-up question about the book as well. Out of all the chapters that you wrote, I'm pretty sure everyone is your favorite, but do you have a favorite chapter in the book that you just like, I want women to like, this is the one they really need to focus on?
So the chapter that is all about the 10 most underrated qualities in a man, chapter 11. That is my favorite chapter. And it's because, just as you said, I've worked with so many women, and they're making their 3 lists, and they're putting things on that list that I'm like, you're really leaving out some things that are important. I really want you to read chapter 11 about what are the 10 most underrated qualities. It is those qualities that, based on my research, women who are in long-term, happy, healthy marriages, those are the qualities that their men have.
Ooh, that is good. I'm probably going to start on that chapter next. Wow, I like that. And the fact that you have research to back it up.
Right, that's
Better.
it.
I told y'all, you know what you're talking about. So I'm going to transition a little bit. So as a licensed professional counselor and love mentor, in your opinion, what's the number one toxic mindset or trait that you observe that us women have? Because I don't want to, this is, sometimes people try to say my content is male bashing, but it's just like, no, I just want us to do better and choose better. So what's something that we can work on, like as far as a mindset goes, that you're just like, all right, this is going to hold you back, like in your opinion, that you can speak on?
Well, recently I've been talking to women more and more about the entitled mindset. The mindset that, just because I am a woman, that I am entitled to a certain type of man, or I am entitled to a certain type of lifestyle. And that's kind of like, I think about my children, and, I have 3 grown children now, and their dad and I have worked really hard. Like, we're both, entrepreneurs, we're both business owners. We've worked really hard, and we've given them a really great life. However, we have made it very clear to them that, once you graduate college, and we're, paying for that 100%, but once you graduate college, you're not going to live in a home like your dad and I. You're not going to drive a car like your dad and I. It's up to you to create that life for yourself. It's up to you to kind of figure out what your life is going to be like. You've got to make strides in your own life to have a great life. You can't ride on the coattails of someone else. You've got to figure that out for yourself. And so, how does that relate to women in dating? So, a woman will, in my opinion, sometimes she will expect too much too soon. Like she will say, if a man is interested in me, I expect these very expensive gifts or very expensive dates. And I'm thinking, okay, but you all are really just meeting each other and he's trying to get to know you, you're trying to get to know him. And so you can do that without having these really expensive gifts or really expensive dates. That's not necessary. Now, if you find that, oh, wow, I really like this person, we're actually a good fit, to me, there's levels to it. That's what I want women to understand. You come in, there's levels to kind of where you all are going to go. And it's just like when I posted about the different levels of benefits. So there are dating benefits, there are girlfriend, boyfriend benefits, there are husband benefits. So there's levels to this thing. And it's the same with women. I don't expect a man on the first date to buy me a Range Rover. Like, I mean, no, but I do expect him to be kind. I expect him to take me out to a place of his choosing. I expect him to have good conversation, and I expect him to pay for our date, you know? And in return, I have given my time, my smile, my feminine energy to him. You know, we've had a really good time. Hopefully he leaves that date feeling good and I leave that date feeling good.
Wow. I am so glad you explained the difference because I was having a little trouble figuring out like entitlement and then settling or like, okay,
Right.
what am I supposed to ask for without sounding like I'm entitled? But the way that you just broke that down, answer
Yeah.
my question. Very well said.
Levels. Right. There's levels. So, and just like how men will say to me, well, Anita, you put that out about husband benefits and women not doing this and that for a husband. What about, you know, the men? I said, same. I don't think a woman should expect you to pay all her bills and you all aren't married. Right. I mean, when I was married to my husband and I was staying at home with my children, he paid all my bills. You know, that's my husband. You know? So, upon dating, no, because we were both like, we're independent people. And he was like, you know what, you know, but I want a stay-at-home wife. And if you became my wife, that's, you know, that's really what I want. So I was like, okay, sounds good to me.
Oh, I love it. There you go. I'm so glad you were able to like break that down for us. That's good to know. So I feel like we live in a culture where you heard the term hoes be winning, and people take that to mean what they want to mean. But you know, like it seems like to be out there sexually, and it just seems like that is the wave. So can you explain to us what your no free sex movement means? And can you also shed some light on the non-sexual value of a woman? Because sometimes I think women feel like that's what they have to give. You know what I mean? Someone takes them out, does nice things for them. All right, let me reward them with this. You know, they don't know how to just say, oh, no, everybody can do what they want. But sometimes women do feel like they want to maybe bargain with their body. That's the only way that they can like show that they're appreciative. So yeah, can you talk about that a little bit more?
Well, no free sex basically means that you will not give a man casual sex. You will not reward a man with your casual sex. Ladies know that I want them to wait until they're married. And for those ladies who don't think they're going to wait until they're married, you at least wait until a man has given you his time. He has given you his attention, his affection. He's given you his heart. He's given you exclusivity and commitment. Like you require that in exchange for, you know, and it's not about money because I wore my free sex, no free sex shirt today at the festival. And so a lot of men came up to me and was like, well, how much is the sex? You know, I said, it's not about money. It's not going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time and effort and your heart. It's going to cost you your exclusivity and your commitment. So I've always told women, if a man makes that proposition. Let's say they say now that after 3 dates, you're supposed to be having sex. So they say, well, what do I say? Because on the third date, they're saying we should be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I always say? I say to a man, oh, well, I believe that sex is an expression of love. So are you trying to say you love me? And I just wait. And usually he's like, well, I'm like, no, you don't. And that's my way of saying you don't love me. And so why would we have sex with each other? Like, you don't love me. We're not married. No, but that's a clever way that you can let a man know that may be one of the requirements you have is you need to love me and you need to invest in me. You need to care about me. And you don't, not after 3 dates.
I like that. That's a good, because they don't like dropping that love bomb, that love word.
Right. And most good men are not. They're not going to lie. They're not going to, I do love you. They're not going to lie. They're going to stutter. And then you're going to say, well, then there you go. We don't love each other. And then that will buy you a whole lot more time.
I like that. And I think it's interesting how you said the men came up and said, see, they're always trying to find a loophole,
Yeah.
Wow. See, I'm going to hurt them. Okay. So in your opinion, what problems can arise when a woman tries to level up or build up a man? Sometimes I feel like in this generation, men are looking for a partner. Like, you gotta bring something to the table too, and you can't. But how do you feel about that when men in particular think like that? And is it ever in our interest to help build a man up or level him up?
Right. So one, I've never been asked that question. And for the record, in the last year, I have been on about 50 dates. And I've never had a man ask me that question. So I always think it's funny when I hear it because I'm like, I've never been asked that question, but okay. But here's what I will say. A lot of it does depend on where you are in life, right? So I met my former husband. I met him, he was in medical school, and I was out of undergraduate. I was working as a teacher, and he was in medical school. And so we met. He had a vision. He had a plan for his life. He told me what that plan was. We sat down. He was like, this is my plan for my life. This is my vision. This is what I see happening. And then there were some things that we both kind of contributed to. Okay, well, if we're going to be together, what would that look like? I even added to that plan. And he basically wanted to know if it was something that I could walk beside him in that plan. So it wasn't me building him. It wasn't me, paying for him. It was simply, can you walk beside me on my purpose or on my plan? And I said, certainly, I certainly could. I could support that plan because it's a good plan. And once we decided that we were going to get engaged and get married, I supported him in many ways that weren't financial. I kept our home. I kept our daughter. I helped him study, or he would, be doing rounds. Sometimes it's as simple as just not adding more stress, right? So if I knew he had a 12, 14-hour day, I did not add more stress. Like, I kept myself busy. I had things that I did, ladies associations and different things that I did with my time. So a lot of it's, it's not money, it's not financial, it's that type of support. But he had his own plan. And that's why I tell ladies, if you're younger, yes, to be honest with you, if you're between the ages of 21 and 30, you are technically dating a man for potential, because that's all there is. Like a 25-year-old man, I mean, he doesn't have any history of doing anything other than finishing school. So, and that was our case. So I was like, okay, I'm seeing this guy in medical school. I don't have anything else to go on, but you know what? I think I like the plan. I like what he's showing me and what he's telling me, and I can buy into that. But here's the thing. You don't offer up much. You see what he's going to do. Like, he's telling you the plan and he's executing it. And then you're coming alongside him. Now, if you're over 30, 35, yes, he should be somewhere. So that's a different story. He should have something that he has acquired in maybe 10 years from graduating from college. So, yes, you want him to come with what he's done, and you're going to come with what you've done. There shouldn't be any building of a man over 35 or any potential because he's over 35. He should show you something. So a lot of it depends on where you are, what age you are, in terms of how much, I guess, building. But I still don't call it building. Even at 25, I say, let that man have a plan, let him have a purpose. You come alongside him in that purpose. And you let him, he's leading that purpose. He's leading his plan the whole time.
I like that. He doesn't need any buy-in from you. Because,
Right.
sometimes I feel like in our generation a little bit, it be people that's up and coming rappers, up and coming musicians, and they
Mhm.
kind of need help. They try to spend money on studio time, so they want to live with you, so they don't gotta use all their money. So I like that the fact that your husband had your ex-husband had like a plan in mind. He didn't need your help, he just needed your support.
Mhm.
He already
That's it.
had it figured out. So
That's it. That's it.
that's
And what I want ladies to understand is, again, this is what I teach men, that a man has a plan. He has a purpose for his life. He finds a woman who can come alongside him. And if she can't, if she wants to do something different, or if she wants him to do something different, do
mm,
not engage with that woman. Your plan
mm,
and your purpose is your number one design for your life. Your woman comes alongside of it. So I just let women know that, and women will say to me, well, I have a plan or I have a purpose. Okay. And I want you to make sure it's in alignment with what he's doing. That's
mhm.
all. So my ex-husband is a psychiatrist. I am a licensed therapist. So that makes sense, right?
Right.
We're in the same field. That makes sense. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
Mhm.
um, but if one of you is, uh, going to become a doctor, and then the other one wants to, I don't know, become an actress or a singer, those are very different. Those are going to take you in very different directions.
Mhm.
And so that might not be the best fit long term.
I like that. Yeah, the two really don't complement each other.
No.
So yeah. I like how you broke that down. You really changed my paradigm on that, because that really does make sense. After a certain age, then yeah, but before that time, you guys are kind of working. Y'all
Yeah.
are both in the building stage, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I I like that.
Yep.
Okay. So, earlier I know we talked about like, oh, okay, again, maybe if we're in our 20s, we're still building. So,
Mhm.
in your opinion, are dates to places like Applebee's, Ruby Tuesdays, Olive Garden, are those kind of dates considered like low effort in your opinion? And if so, why or why not?
So this is what I tell women. A feminine woman, she allows a man to plan a date, right?
Okay.
She allows it. She says, oh, I'd love to go on a date with you. That sounds amazing. You just let me know when and where. You just let me know the plan. I always use that word. You let me know the plan. And a feminine woman accepts what a man gives her. So there's only three responses when we're thinking about a man and what he brings us. We may accept, we may reject, or we may tolerate.
Mm,
I really discourage tolerating.
hmm.
If a date like that is something that you don't like or don't want, then you will reject. You will
Hmm.
simply state, oh, thank you so much. However, I'm not a big fan of, chain restaurants. Like you could say that. I'm not a big fan of chain restaurants, or, I'd love it if we had a date somewhere that was a little nicer. You could say that, but you could reject. But what I often tell women is, I want you to accept what he brings. And then on that date, you can make mention of other places that you've been to that you like. You can see if you can kind of steer him towards, places that you like. But in my opinion, a man who has taken time to plan, he has taken time to plan, he's made the initiative to ask you out. He's paying for that date. That to me is what masculine men do. Now, if he's spending $25 or $2,500, like that's a big gap, you know, that will greatly depend on the man.
Mm-hmm.
But the woman, a feminine woman, she has to either accept, reject, or tolerate. Like those are the only three options you have. So you search yourself in your heart. If that doesn't feel good to you, then you may reject,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some women will say, well, I'm going to tolerate it, but my hope is that we'll go to better places or he'll come up with better dates. But I really dissuade against that. You
Mm-hmm.
either accept it and you can maybe steer him somewhere else, or you reject it.
Okay. That is good. I like that. Because it was like this big debate online about that too. Like how some women feel like Applebee dates, places like that are low effort. Like the guy didn't even think. But then, like you said, like maybe the guy just didn't really know. Some
Right,
people just don't know. So
right.
as a woman, you can suggest, and I like that. You know, you can either accept it. You don't
Reject
have to.
or
Though.
tolerate,
Right.
right? That's right. And remember, dating is vetting.
Mm-hmm.
Dating is gathering data. You do not need to have a $2,500 meal to gather data on a man. I
Mm-hmm.
have gone on dates that were, we got up early in the morning. I remember one guy, we got up early in the morning. We went and walked around my office park because it's very beautiful, lots of lakes and lots of beautiful scenery. Then we went up the street to like a pancake house and we had breakfast. It was not an expensive date, but when I tell you, I gathered a lot of intel on him. And
Mm-hmm.
it helped me to see, do I want to go on any other dates? Do I want to even talk on the phone still?
Mm-hmm.
Dating is data. It's
Mm-hmm.
not, ladies are making it about something it shouldn't be about. Oh, I need you to impress me. I need you. And then guess what's going to happen? He may impress you, and you're going to be pulled in by a $2,500 super romantic date to a narcissist. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested. I'd rather go for a walk around my office park and to the pancake house with a genuinely great guy, with a
Mm-hmm.
guy who wants commitment, with a guy who wants to marry me, who wants to pay my bills once we're married. That's my guy. Okay. I'd rather have him. So we got to put this thing in perspective, which is dating is data driven. We're trying to find out who this person really is. That's all.
Mm-hmm. And that's good. I think sometimes we as women can sometimes feel like, oh, he didn't spend enough money on me, so I must not be
Mhm.
worth. Like sometimes we take it more personal. Like you said, we're reading more into it than we should.
Right.
Like
And
sometimes we
it
attach
is.
our value to it. So.
And it is. And like I said, there was a time where when I was dating my then husband, and he was, to be honest, a broke medical student, but the dates were all about get to know me, figure out who I am. I'm getting to know you and what you like, what I like. Like the dates were back, I guess back then would have been considered low effort. But this is now a man who, according to Kevin Samuel's standards, is a high value man, is a
Mm-hmm.
seven-figure earner.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't cut off your nose in spite of your face.
Oof, you said a word.
Mhm.
'Cause that's very true. And kind of like you
Right,
were saying, I feel like some of these men that can spend that money, you don't know what
right,
they do or what they did to get that money. They could really be scammers,
right,
posing.
right.
So yes. All right. So, in your opinion, or can you offer up some suggestions of what would be a feminine date? I feel like you kind of already shared based off your experience, but places like walks in the park, going out, different
Mhm.
sceneries. Any
Yep.
other suggestions?
One of my favorite suggestions is you all doing something that you've never done before, right? So pulling both of you out of your element. I
Mm-hmm.
remember one of the best dates I've been on in the last year was we went to one of those high ropes challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a big fan of heights, I'm not a big fan of heights, and he had never been. But I gave him the challenge of, oh, let's do something adventurous. And so he racked his brain. He's like, okay, I came up with this high ropes challenge, and we have to put on a helmet, and we have to go way up in the trees, and we have to be clipped in. And we did that. And at the end, you are going to zip line down.
Mhm.
And so it really helped us to see a side of each other that was kind of out of our element, right? So we got to see a side of each other that wasn't all prim and proper sitting at dinner. It was kind of scary. And he was like, oh, I'm getting to see what she's like when she's scared. And I
Mhm.
got to see him, kind of out of his element too, because he had never done it before. So I like dates like that. I like
Mhm.
dates where you're not quite in your element. You're really getting to know that person on a deeper level.
I like dates like that too. Because, like they
Mhm.
said, kind of avoid movies because it's
Yeah,
quiet. You
yeah,
guys aren't really talking.
right, right.
So, a good activity, like an outdoorsy thing that the two of you
Mhm.
never try, is a good idea. I like
Yep,
that.
I like to play golf, so I've been on a lot of golf dates. Um, I love to eat, so I've been finding a lot of wonderful new restaurants in the city. Men have been taking me to these, like, not these chain restaurants, but just these mom and pop type restaurants. But the food is amazing,
Mhm.
and walking in certain places downtown or in Carytown, going to parks. I've been exploring that. I've gone on a couple bicycle dates. Ice cream. We've gone and gotten ice cream. I went on a cooking class date. A lot of really neat dates. I've had a lot of really neat dates. Roller skating, ice skating. We went on a couple of thrifting dates. There was a gentleman, I let him know that I like thrifting. So we went to a bunch of different, like, thrift stores, antique stores, found different things. That was kind of different. Then we went to eat. So again, think outside of the box. The dinner and a movie to me is dead,
You're
but think
right.
outside of the box. Yep.
Yeah, it's so basic, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Those were great suggestions. I
Mhm.
really like that. I'm glad you shared. So there are some men that think they are a catch because they do the bare minimum.
Mhm.
However, how can women determine if a man really is a catch? Like, what are some things that, and I feel like it may go with our question about like the things men should have, like kindness and,
Mhm.
being able to speak up for themselves. That could be similar, but how can we really qualify if a man is a catch, besides being male and doing the basic
Yeah.
things?
The number one thing I think is very unique. Like, it's these men are becoming unicorns now. So the number one thing is that he will pursue.
Oh.
And I've even seen in my dating journey that men are no longer pursuers. Like,
Hmm.
they don't know how to pursue a woman.
Hmm.
And they might make that initial reach out, whether it's through an app or they see you and they have your number. They may make an initial reach out and then they just stop. They
Go
just
go.
stop. Yeah,
Mhm.
you'll have an initial date and it's like they'll just stop. They'll
Mhm.
just stop. They'll stop, calling and texting and continuing to initiate. And that's the biggest thing, is men who will pursue. So men who are consistently pursuing you. And ladies, it's your job to reciprocate. That's what
Mhm.
I'm always telling women. I'm not calling men first, texting men first, but when they call, I'm happy to hear from them. When they
Mhm.
text, I text them back, and it's usually a little longer than what they texted me. That's my way of showing I am interested, but I'm open to your pursuit. I'm
Okay.
not going to pursue you, but when you reach out, I'm going to be like, hi, I was just thinking about you earlier. How's your day going? See, that lets him know, okay, she's happy to hear from me when I call. But when you do not call, I am not going to run after you. I am the girl, and I
Right.
want to stay in that role as the girl.
I like that. Out of sight, out of mind.
Right, pretty much.
I'm living my life.
Mhm.
So that's good. Okay. So a man that would pursue. Do you think that maybe social media and dating apps and things like that maybe took the pursuit out for men? Maybe like
It
maybe made them like
has.
a little lazy. I don't.
It has made
Why do you
them
think that
very
is?
lazy, very lazy. I mean, because here's what the science even tells us. So, social
Mm-hmm.
media, dating apps, even for women, and I have to be aware, I have to be really aware of this. So, I'm not on the app, I'm on the app maybe twice a week. I try
Mm-hmm.
not to go on it every day. I try not to look on it every day. And same with social media. So this is what the science tells us. Social media, dating apps, they are offering up a hit of dopamine. So every time we're on there, we're seeing something we like. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. Ooh, okay. See, we're getting that hit of dopamine. And before that, the only dopamine hit we could get was calling up a woman. Hello. Oh, she answered. Hi. Hey, yeah, remember me? I saw you at this such and so's party. See, that was our dopamine hit. And then when the conversation was over, nothing. Then he says, I'd love to take you on a date. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Next dopamine hit. Oh, you're picking me up. Or, oh, we're meeting at the date. See, the dopamine hits were farther between, right? But the only way you could get it was by actually doing something, calling, texting, dating. That's how you got the dopamine. But now you get the dopamine swiping. You get the dopamine scrolling. And there's less, there's just less, what's the word? There's less
initiation, like
yes,
the
yes,
hunter. Yeah.
yeah. Because you're like, I could get my dopamine by just picking up my phone. Like I don't need to wait to call or to go on a date to get my dopamine. I can get my dopamine through the phone. So that right there is why we as humans, we've really, really gotten lazy. And some women too. Some women too are a victim of this, that, yeah, I'm getting my dopamine through the phone, through the likes, through people leaving comments on my social media. That's my dopamine hit, which back in the day, her dopamine hit was going out and having men say, hey girl, trying to talk to her, exchanging numbers. And then she had to wait for them to call. She got another dopamine hit. She had to wait for the date. See that. And that made us do something because we were like, man, that call felt really good. Maybe I should ask her on a date, But now we're flooded with it. We're flooded with it. And a man is like, yeah, I've got my dopamine hit for the day. I'm not calling you. I've just scrolled on Instagram. I've just flipped through my app.
Yes, I agree. And I feel like also we're getting that dopamine by doing like the bare minimum as well. Like we could be on the
Right.
toilet getting the dopamine. We could be like in
Yep.
our bed, it requires
Yep.
nothing really.
Yep.
Like compared to like you said before
To
when
do
we had to
something.
put a little
Yeah.
effort. Yeah.
Yep. You
So
have to do something. And
uh-huh.
so I've been encouraging the few men that I work with. I don't work with a lot, but I do work with a few men. And I say, be brave. Be brave. Do the courageous thing. Start calling, start texting, and start, FaceTiming, start going on dates. Be brave. There's a huge reward to doing that. And so I am telling them, stay off the app, stay off your phone all the time because it's making you lazy.
Yes, and I feel like we all have probably been there where like, all right, you might like somebody on the app and then see them in person. It's just like, Versus if you already seen them in person, you already know that initial attraction is there. So
Right.
I don't know. I still like the meeting in person. It could be at the grocery store, the gas
Yep.
station. I feel like that's my
Yep.
problem. I got to get out more. At least so I can be seen. But
Me
there,
too.
you're not
That's
going to see me in this house.
right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Yep.
I like going out more. So that is good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, a man that pursues ladies, that is a man that
Mm-hmm.
catch.
Yep. He's a
All
good,
right.
a man who's courageous. And that's, like I said, that's becoming few and far between now.
Well,
So
tell me.
he's got to initiate.
Because, yeah, a lot of men want to be pursued nowadays.
Right, right. That's a thing.
So, I definitely agree.
Right.
Okay. So, like I feel like a few months ago was this big debate, but I want to get your opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Monique, the comedian, she was telling
Mm-hmm.
women, stop going out with pajamas, bonnets on, present yourself as queens. And a lot of people, surprisingly, well, let me not say surprisingly, she got some pushback on what she said.
Right.
But
Right.
how do you feel about what she said? And also I want to tie that into feminine attire because you talk about that on your content as well. Like some things aren't feminine, it could be cute, but it's not
Right.
feminine. So I want to get your thoughts on feminine attire and how we should present ourselves as well.
Right. So Monique is from my generation. So women in our generation, that's how we were trained. That's how we were taught that wearing, and I even feel that way about being on lives. Like, I think it's completely inappropriate to be on a live in your bonnet, in your pajamas, just not looking your best. To me, you're inviting thousands of people possibly into your home. So for the record, anyone who's coming into my home, whether that's through my front door or through my computer camera or my phone camera, I am dressed appropriately. And that's why I tell ladies, even you don't even have to go out into the street. If you're on camera and thousands of people are looking at you, it's as if all these people are in your living room. Would you invite someone over and you're dressed like that? I know I wouldn't, I would not. So let's say thousands of people are watching this. I want to make sure that I'm dressed appropriately. I'm in a space, this is my studio space. I'm clean, I'm appropriate. This is my studio space. That makes sense to me. Just like if I were to have you come into my home for this interview. And I want women to have that same mindset that when you're on camera or when you leave your home, you're now in a public space. There is a way for you to dress when you're out in public. And let's be honest, ladies, you never know who you're going to run into. You never know. Your husband could be at the grocery store. Your husband could be at, like you said, the gas station, and you're not looking your best. He's like, no, I'm good. No. So yes, I agreed with everything she said. I've said similar things, that we have got to take pride in our appearance. And I've encouraged women, have a minimal look, right? So I have a minimal look. Like even when I'm going to the gym, I have what I call my minimal look. And I always use concealer, I always have my hair, looking good. And even if I don't have my brows, like even if my brows are not done, I still have what I call the minimal look. So I am still, if my husband walked up to me, I'm like, hello, I'm still presentable. I have presentable clothes on, I have my minimal look. So I just tell women, what's your minimal look, that even if you're running out to get milk, that's what you're going to look like. And then you're going to come back. But to wear your pajamas, your slippers, your bonnet, no. We gotta get away from that. We gotta make sure that we are dressed appropriately to have company in our home or to go outside of our home.
Whew, now that was a great analogy, because I know good and well if I'm invited them into my house, I'm gonna let me, even you do that with your house, like it could be a mess, but if somebody comes, let me straighten up real quick. So if I do that for my house, why wouldn't I do that for myself? Like, I like that. That really opened up my mind. And not to say that I go out the house wearing a bonnet, but I just really I hope that kind of puts it home for some people that may be on the fence. Like you said, I'm just going to get some milk, but you just never know. I said you may run into Obama, and you gonna want to take a picture with Obama. But if you got that bonnet on, you're gonna be mad at yourself.
You're right. You're telling them right.
Just never know. So like you said, just have your bare what they even have it on YouTube called a natural no makeup look. So it's still light, but you still got a little something on. It's not the whole beat glam flashes everything, but just a little something. And I feel like it also helps with your confidence. Like when you look a little put together, you put that effort in, you feel good. You show up differently.
I agree.
I'm glad you touched on that. Okay, so this is the question I really wanted to ask, and what really prompted me to reach out to you to do this interview. So I want to ask you, even though I kind of know the answer, but for the people that don't know, can a woman truly be feminine in a 50-50 relationship, or where the woman is splitting the bills financially with the man? Can she still be in her feminine? Why or why not?
So this is a conversation you want to have upon dating, and you want to be clear on what the roles will be and how everything will be divided.
Okay.
When we're talking about polarity, we are in search of equity, not equality, right?
Mm,
There is no equality in romantic relationships. So when
okay.
people say men and women are the same, I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. We need to stop that. Men
Mm-hmm.
and women are not the same. Um, People who are much older are not the same. We're going to give them a certain amount of respect that we would not give maybe to someone our own age. So we
Mm-hmm.
want equity. We want equity. And as a woman, I do want to be treated special by a man. I do
Mm-hmm.
want him to hold the door open. I want him to, lift heavy things for me. I
Mm-hmm.
want him to walk on the side of the street that has the cars. I do want to be treated as special because, yes, I am worth protecting.
Mm-hmm.
But these are conversations couples must have early on. They must have these conversations early on. And again, I know my ex husband and I did. We
Mm-hmm.
sat down. He says, nope, I'm not interested in you working full time and trying to juggle our family and me trying to juggle our family. He's like, I know I can't do that. I'm going to be a doctor and I'm not going to have the time or the energy to come home and juggle the kids. And I don't want you having to work all day and have to do that too. So he told me early on, I want a stay at home wife and a stay at home mother. And I'm going to provide for us financially. I'm going to give you a stipend every week. That is what feels right to me. I
Mm-hmm.
said, great, that feels right to me, So we were a great fit in that regard. And we each had our roles and they were very different. But when we stayed in our lane, everything worked beautifully. So women have got to talk about that. They've got to say, this is my expectation. I
Mm-hmm.
want to work part-time. I want to stay at home. I want to work, here and there, or I want to open a business from home. Like you have got to make all of this known. Because here's the thing, and I tell ladies this, there can be no true 50-50 because what did we just say? There is no equality in romantic relationships. He cannot carry the baby half the time. He cannot breastfeed the baby half the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are things the man just cannot split.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want women to rest in their femininity. I want you to fully accept your role. I love being a mother. Everybody knows that. My kids have been my greatest gift and my greatest teachers. I
Oh.
loved everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
My husband respected the fact that Anita is doing something I can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, she's going to sit at home and do that. And I'm going to take care of all of our bills. I'm going to take care of everything so she can be really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the relationship that I want women to really inquire about with a man, that there are things we can't split.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us to say, oh, but we're going to split all of our bills down the middle, one of us is still in a deficit. I'm still in a deficit as a woman because I have to change my work hours, or me being pregnant for 9 months. There's things I can't do. I can't drink alcohol. I can,
Mm-hmm.
things I might enjoy I can't do anymore. So this must be fair and equitable. What does that look like? Now, keep in mind, ladies, if you want a provider man, yes, there will be a certain amount of income he will have to bring in. So if you're making 80 and he's making 40, yes, I mean, he can't provide technically because he's making way less than you. So again, choose well. You have to choose well. And I knew that going into my situation. Let me choose someone who can provide 100%. That's a part of your choice too, is don't get mad because the man you're dating works at the post office and, oh, he can't pay for all our bills. Well, I mean, he works at the post office and that's an honorable profession.
Mm-hmm.
But if make far more money than him, common sense says he can't provide 100% for the lifestyle you have.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind too. So you really only have two options. One, you're going to be a part of the financial providing if you want to maintain your lifestyle and you're dating someone who makes the same or less than you. Or two, you're going to allow him to provide 100% under his lifestyle. So whatever he can afford, and he can pay for 100%, that's where you'll be. So if you don't like that, then yes, if you're like, well, I'm making twice as much money as him and I like being able to go out, I like taking trips, I like living in a certain home or driving a certain car, then you will, if you're going to marry him, you will have to add to that because he can't. Like that's just plain old numbers. He cannot. And you can try to encourage him to make more money. You can try to encourage him to, get a better job and make more money, but that's the reality. And I see that with my couples all the time. The wife makes way more than the husband. And yes, she does have to contribute. And I've even asked, can she contribute 30%? And he contributes 70. And she contribute, what can you all do? So maybe it's not 50-50, maybe it's 70-30. Maybe it's 60-40. Maybe it's 80-20. Have that conversation. But here's the thing you need to know. Depending on who you choose, you only got two options. Live within his means or contribute to. That's it.
Okay. That was a good breakdown. I never really thought of it like that, but I just feel like I want to be in like more of a traditional role because I want to be the kind of mom that goes to the PTA meetings, goes, bakes the cookies. I'll be there for the plays. I want to know who you staying the night with. Let me meet their parent. And I feel like, I probably could do that working, but I don't want my job to ever interfere with me being there for my kids because I'll quit that job. So, but I feel like just for me, I know this about myself. So I would want to be a stay-at-home mom. And that home will be late. Like I want to do my part, and I feel like when a man, I can only imagine, but when a man is taking care of those things, it just helps me be like, and I can take care of my kids,
That's it. So, and one of the things I remember, and I tell ladies this, I remember my ex-husband also saying, I have certain physical needs, right? I want the sensual and the sexual that you bring. And he knew that, you can't have no work stress. You can't, you can't have no work stress. You need to be ready. He knew that. So he knew what he was doing. Like, you don't have any work stress. And we had a lot of wonderful amenities. We had a guy who did the yard. We had a housekeeper. We had other amenities. So it wasn't like, I was just doing everything related to the house. He was very smart that way. He was like, hey, I got physical needs. And if I want my wife to meet them, she need to be fresh. So, and thankfully, that's exactly what he did. He was like, nope, whatever you need to go to get a massage. You need to, go and get your toes done, whatever you need to be relaxed and to feel good, and that was a great arrangement. So I do tell men that there are great benefits to setting it up this way. She's not coming home stressed out from work or, I've got this report, I've got to work on this tonight, because guess what? You're not getting no loving.
There, exactly. Baby, I got a headache. I can't. I just work. I got you. So there you
Yep. That's a part of it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you shared that. So, do you have a few more minutes? I have a few more questions. I know we're at an hour, about to be at an hour. I just want to make sure I wasn't like you didn't have. If we are okay, a little. Okay. So, I want to get to know like a little bit about you and your dating experiences. So, can you share with us some of your dating pet peeves? Like, what's the things that you hate that you experience that men do? Whether it was like from ghosting, taking a long time to text you back, finding out they're already in a relationship. Like, what's your dating pet peeves?
Like I said, my number one is men who don't take initiative. So men who either they're doing a lot of calling and texting, they're not scheduling dates. They don't take initiative because they're kind of waiting for you to plan something. That will never happen. Men who do fall off. So they do fall off and then they kind of return. That's not a good feeling. And I just make sure and let them know, like, that doesn't feel good. And they're like, well, I got kind of busy. I had to do this and that for a couple of weeks. No, that doesn't work for me. And you just have to say that. You're sweet. I always tell women when a man returns, I don't want you to be angry. I don't want you to, jump on him. Where have you been? And why haven't you reached out? No, I'm always sweet, but I let him know that doesn't work for me.
Okay. Can you block him? if he's taking weeks and stuff, is blocking okay, or don't even do that because it shows you're angry?
I mean, you can. I don't. I don't block men. I don't block men because I'm strong enough to just ignore them, so I don't block them. But if him returning triggers you, then I probably would block him. But I don't feel any kind of way about it. I just let him know it doesn't work for me. That, oh, unfortunately, I don't think we're a good match for each other. Why? Because I don't enjoy, men leaving for days or weeks on end and returning. That doesn't feel good to me. That feels very inconsistent. See? So I just let him know in no uncertain terms. I'm a grown up, I don't have any problem letting him know that's unacceptable. That just doesn't feel good. And I want women to get stronger in that area. I find that they're not strong enough to say how they feel, but in a calm, assertive manner.
But sometimes I guess I feel like if you tell them, then they know that like what they did annoyed you maybe, and you're not supposed to show that you care. So
no, I always show, but remember, the feminine is about feelings. So the 3 tenets of femininity are patience, passivity, and vulnerability. And so in that moment of sharing, that doesn't work for me. That is me being vulnerable. I'm going to be appropriately vulnerable with a man, even a man I just met. I'm going to say, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't feel good. And here's the other thing I'm going to tell you. That doesn't mean it's going to go any further, right? So here's how I am still very strong in my presentation. So if he continues to try to, oh, well, I'll do better next time, this and that, I just say, well, I just don't think we're a good fit. And then that's it. I don't answer his calls anymore. I don't respond to his texts. Like, my word is my bond. Okay. So that's it. That's how you remain unbothered. You're vulnerable. And if you don't want to deal with him anymore, then you don't. That's it.
Good. Tell us the 3 feminine, what is it? The 3 pendants?
So feminine women are passive, and women hate that word, but they are passive, meaning I'm not an initiator, I'm a receptor. I receive. Okay. So I'm the passive one, and the man is the assertive one. I'm passive. I am patient. And women are really bad at that. They're really bad at being patient. But feminine women are patient. So that's something I want all women to really work on. Work on being patient. Work on allowing a man a chance to reach out to you, to call you, to text you. Work on if he needs a few days to kind of get warmed up to ask for the date. Now, he doesn't get weeks. He gets a few days. If a man takes 3 or 4 weeks to ask you on a date, I'm not interested. And I let him know that, I'm not interested. This is taking too long. You're not sure what you want. I'm not interested. But be patient, and then be vulnerable. Be appropriately vulnerable with a man. I am never afraid to tell a man how I feel. And I do it in a way, again, that is direct. And it's kind, but, it's pretty direct. Like, oh, that doesn't feel good. Oh, well, and usually here's what happens, though, when you do this. The man kind of checks himself. He feels bad. He feels bad that you actually said, oh, you disappearing for a week. That didn't feel good. That doesn't work for me. That's not something that, feels good at all. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I had this going on. And you're right. I should have texted. But then your next move is nothing. Like you don't allow him back in. You say, nope, that just doesn't feel good to me. And hopefully he learns and he does better the next time.
Okay. I'm glad you shared that, because I feel like I felt like I was always taught, like, you're not supposed to let them see you sweat, don't show how you feel, don't show emotions, act like you don't care. But that could have been very masculine.
Yeah,
like, it's okay to speak up for yourself and say what it is. Okay.
And trust me, when you're expressing vulnerability, so when people hear vulnerability, they think crying or, oh my God, no, we're not doing that. Okay. You don't need to cry. You don't need to appear visibly worked up. You just, in a calm manner, say how you feel. Like, that didn't feel good. that felt very hurtful. That felt, very dismissive. It doesn't feel good to be dating someone and they disappear and then they come back. That just does not work for me. Like I say it exactly like I just said it. That doesn't work for me. And then I do something about it, which is, we're done. We're done. I just don't respond anymore. And that lets them know, wow, she meant it. She meant it. She's not having it. And I'm like, no.
I like that. Do you mind, Georgiana? I hope I'm saying your name right. She just came in late, so
Okay.
can you talk about? Well, tell us your book and your channel because you do have a YouTube channel, but you
I
also have an
do.
Instagram page. So
I do. So I am Better Love Movement everywhere. So Better Love Movement is my podcast. Better Love Movement is my YouTube channel. My Instagram and Facebook is Better Love Movement. That it's everywhere you go. My website, betterlovemovement.com. Okay. And let me tell you a little bit about the book. It's called Choose Well, a simple formula to determine the best man for you. So I wanted to give two of your followers or listeners or folks who are watching, I wanted to give away 2 copies of the book. So I don't know how you can determine who would win a copy of the book, but I have 2 copies to give away. So I'm going to let you figure that out, Simquet, and you just pick 2 people and, give me their address and I can mail them a copy of the book. But it's available on Amazon. That's where you can pick up a copy of the book, Choose Well. And if you get a copy, please leave a review. I'm trying to get a few more reviews on Amazon.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you. I didn't know there's people. So let's go ahead and Georgiana, your name is on the screen. If you can I'll put up my email address so you can get in contact with me. We'll get one to her since she asked.
Yep.
And I also want to give a special shout out to I hope I'm saying her name right, Miss Shia Allen. She shared this from her YouTube channel to her subscribers. So we have a few people in here. So I would like to give the book to her. So I can probably coordinate and reach out to her at least on her channel. And we'll get to see the book out to her and I'll connect with you.
Awesome. So I will mail that out to them. You just let me know their names and their addresses.
Okay, we'll do. And I may give someone a book too because I forgot my IG people. So Lights on Empowerment. She has been commenting a lot, engaging on Instagram. So I will give her the book. So I'll connect with her because this book is oh my gosh, we should have a girl, I don't know, a girl talk about it. I don't know. That would be neat. What's that? A book club would be something like that. I would like that.
Sounds good.
Because this book is worth it. Okay. So my last few questions. I know you said you wrote, this is perfect. You wrote the book for your younger self. So I have the question of what advice would you give young girls, but what advice would you give your younger self out of everything that you learned up to this point? What's the one thing that you wish you could have gave your younger self?
I would first of all tell her to abstain. You want to abstain. you want to abstain. That is such a precious gift. And you want to make sure that the person you give it to is truly worthy, that the person you give it to is safe, that the person you give it to is going to honor and respect you and cherish you. So abstain, ladies. And it's so funny because I've had a couple of people come to my page. My most latest post got blown up by a couple of men. There were a couple of men on my latest post where I showed a woman with her legs crossed and it said closed until marriage. And there were a couple of men who came to the page and they just blew it up and said how toxic I was for suggesting that. And so then I said, so ladies, I want you to pay attention that there are men in this space telling you to give them free sex. Because I'm wrong for telling you, to be wise about who you give your body to. And that's what I want women to understand, that of course men are going to support the idea of, oh, a woman should have sex with whoever she wants because that benefits him.
Right.
It doesn't benefit me to tell you. I mean, I'm trying to protect you. Clearly, that's why I am telling you this. But I left their comments up. I did not, because they said, oh, she's going to delete our comments. I left their comments up because I wanted women to see, yes, there are men who are saying this mindset is toxic to women. That, oh, can you believe she's telling women to abstain and to not have sex until they're married? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's what I would have told my younger self is most of the trauma that I've been through in my life is because of that, giving men free sex. Mm-hmm. And those days are over. Those days are over. I am waiting on my husband. Even now, I am waiting on my next husband, my last husband. So,
I love that. And that's great advice. It's almost like, wouldn't this be the advice for the naysayer men? Like, but wouldn't this be the advice that they would give their daughters, or they would want their mama or aunties or something to take heed of? So it's just like, don't be divisive, guys.
Right.
Don't try it.
Yep.
So, thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
That is very good advice.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm gonna turn this back over to you again. If you could tell us more, how we can get the book again, and also about your upcoming book, and any other final parting thoughts you want to leave with us.
Okay, so Choose Well was written for the single woman, and it is a part of a 2-part formula that I created. I believe, this is according to my theory, that there are 2 things that must be in place for you to have a happy, healthy, long-term relationship or marriage. The first thing is you have to choose well. Who you choose matters. Like, you can't just pick any old body, right? And then the second thing is you have to do well. And that's the second book. So the second book is for all my ladies who are in relationships or in marriages. It's going to give you some tips and tools on how to be the best feminine woman you can for your boyfriend, your husband, your fiance. It's going to teach you how to be in the relationship and to be really happy and to have your man be really happy. So choose well, do well. Those are the 2 things you have to remember for the happy, healthy relationship. One thing I've always told people is men tend to choose well. Men tend to choose good women, but guess what? They drop the ball when it comes to doing well. They get in the relationship and they do things that are not good for the relationship. That's how men get into trouble. Here's the flip side. Women don't choose well. They tend to choose a guy that's not a good fit. They're not compatible, or he's just not a good guy. And then they get in a relationship and they try to outdo who they chose. And it never works. It never works. You cannot outdo a bad choice. So that's why I need women to get this, learn how to pick a good guy, because I believe that most women are going to do pretty good in their relationships. Like, they're going to be loyal and faithful. They're going to do things for their man. They're going to be loving and kind. But if they're doing those things for the wrong man, it's not going to make a difference.
I agree. Yeah. So choose well up front.
Right.
Date. Ask questions. Enforce your boundaries.
That's it.
I feel like a lot of the work has to be done before you even start dating. So that's why this book is important.
Yep, it does. You have to do the work before. So the follow-up book, and I'm going to see if I can find the title, because I actually just came up with the final title. I had been going back and forth with the title of the second book, but it is called Do Well. And I want to say, let me see if I can find it, because I just finalized it. I was going back and forth, and then I said, yep, that's it, And I always, I like to write down ideas that I have, and I put them on a piece of paper, and I put it under my pillow. and I sleep on it. I literally sleep on it. And usually he will confirm, yes, that is the title, or yes, that is what you should write about. Like he always confirms when I do that. So that's a little tip that if you have a question, if you have something that's concerning you, write it on paper, put it under your pillow as you sleep. And God will kind of give you an answer. He will speak to you at night. That's when your subconscious is most susceptible.
That is so true. It's even scriptures that say, you know, and God came to me in a dream, and he came to me in a
Right.
dream. Like, that is very true. I like that. Sleep on it. And I also like the fact that you got it out of your head. You know, write the vision, make it plain. Because a lot of
Right.
times I have a lot of good ideas and then I forget. Like, I should have wrote
Yeah,
it out.
write it down. That's what I tell people. Write it down. They've got to. Okay, let me see. I thought I had it. There's so much in my phone. Sorry.
No, I'm the same
But I
way.
just came up with the last part of the title, the subtitle. But it will be Do Well. And the artist that worked with me on this, she's already come up with the cover. So we are just waiting on me. I have some more writing to do and some more researching to do. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I cannot find it, but there's so much in this phone. So that doesn't surprise me because I have lots of notes. Everything goes in the phone, and it helps me to just remember all the ideas that I have.
Me too. I do a brain dump. Like, let me just
Oh,
get this
yeah.
out of my head.
Awesome. Okay, I wish I could find it, but I cannot. Oh, wait, there we go. There we go. So it is called Do Well, Learn the Skills Necessary to Have Lasting Love. Okay,
Ooh, I like that.
so that's the next. And I'm shooting for before Thanksgiving. I'm shooting for November 1st, but if I know me, it's going to probably come out around November 15th. But I'm shooting to have it completed, and I'm going to start marketing it by November 1st. And then I want to have like a Black Friday giveaway. So, yeah, but that's the next book. And it's for ladies in relationships because a lot of ladies have said, well, what if we're already in a relationship? I was like, okay, your book is coming. Your book is coming. Yep.
Oh, so if you need like a little street team, let us know. We'll
Okay.
definitely be happy to spotlight it, talk about it.
Good.
So,
Good.
yeah,
I sure will. Thank you.
you're welcome. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we can get your book off of Amazon and your website, right?
You sure can. Yep.
Okay, so if you guys are listening to this on the replay and y'all missed the giveaway, y'all can still
Mhm.
get her book on Amazon or her
Yep.
website. And don't
Yep.
forget to follow her on at Better Love Movement everywhere. She made it real
Yep.
simple for you.
That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome and thank you so much. Like we had so many great comments. Like people
Mhm.
are just in the chat telling
Awesome.
us about apps or hard, like just talking to us. You know how they don't like
Okay.
bonnets in public. We also got like a lot of good comments on Instagram.
Okay. Good. Good.
Thank you so much for joining
Awesome.
me on this podcast episode of Sis It's Just Not God's Best for You, Self Actualize and Shine podcast show. All right, guys. Thanks again. Talk to y'all later.